Hi, I'm Mike at Northwest School of Fly Fishing. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it if you would subscribe, share this video with others. It's informative and it'll help you become a better nymph fisherman. Now, it doesn't really matter what style of nymphing you're doing, Euro style, high sticking, tight line, drop shot, any Czech, Polish, doesn't really matter so much when you're on the river if you don't quite analyze the river correctly. So what I mean by that is every river is different. And as I look at tailwater rivers and freestone rivers, they can fool you, especially if you're nymph fishing. Typically, we get to a river and we make a selection of flies and we go out on the river and we wait out there and there we go. We're right at it again. And then our day progresses. We might catch a fish, who knows, but eventually you'll start switching flies, whatever. What I'm trying to say is to analyze a river and understand the aquatic life that's going on in that river can be very helpful for you. For example, we know that 45+% of what trout eat during the season, say summer, late spring, summer, all the way into fall, are mayflies. They eat mayflies in both their adult form and their nymphal form. They're on the move. And 45+% of what trout eat during the season are caddisflies, both in their larval form and in their adult form. So it's a pretty good bet to, from a strategic standpoint, is when you get to a river that you're not too familiar with, or you may be familiar with, and you just want to get started, well, logic will dictate that if you're fishing two flies, which we normally do, that you would put on a mayfly nymph and maybe a caddis larva, and that would be your starting point. And then you could go on from there. But that's the basics, though. That's textbook fly fishing concepts and principles, is understanding that. In the winter, of course, it's 99% winter trout eat, up to 99% are midges, in both their larval form, in their emergent form, and in their adult form. And we would certainly go in the winter time, we would be fishing midge pupas in the surface during a hatch or on the bottom as we're nymphing. So that's sound logic, but we need to go a little bit beyond that and really analyze that river, because there's other things going on in that river too. So an example I can say is close to where I live, there are two major rivers. One of them is probably one of the top brown trout fishery on the North American continent. And there's really, outside of a spring squala hatch, there's really no stoneflies on that river. So consequently, I rarely, when I'm nymphing that fishing, will nymph fish that river with a stonefly on. And we have a river runs through town. That's a really nice trout river. And there's simply no stoneflies on that river either. And it's rare that you see me nymphing a stonefly on that hatch. However, there are rivers close to where I live and all through the Northwest where there is a huge stonefly population. I know one river an hour or so from where I live, they have up to 7 different varieties of stoneflies. I mean, they got the giant salmon flies, the black one, the golden stone. There's just yellow sallies and squallows, and so on and so forth, where these fish are really becoming tuned to an occasional stonefly coming through. That's when you want to put your stonefly on. It would be the fly that's nearest the bottom. And so understanding and analyzing river and knowing what kind of etymology, aquatic etymology that's in that river can really dictate to you how you set up your rigs. In the case of drop shotting, which I'm doing here, you can see here, right here off my left hand, if you can see it, is where my lead is. And as that goes through the water, it's going to go in this direction. And you're going to see at the very bottom a rubber leg, which represents a variety of stoneflies in that river. And I would say over the last 30 years, nymphing that river, I would say up to 90% of the fish I catch are on this fly. The others are on the small mayfly nymph fly. But the difference really is, yes, if I switch them, if I put the mayfly nymph down where the stonefly is, what I've learned is that the smaller fish will actually take the smaller fly. And the big fish, we're talking trout over 20 inches, between 20 and 25 inches, are going to eat that big stonefly. And that's how it works in the river close to where I live, and it works in every other river in the Northwest that has large stonefly populations. Understanding also trout behavior in the river is you need to know that trout don't hunt in rivers. Regardless what anybody tells you, trout do not hunt in rivers. They just stay right in one spot. They're 4 to 6 inches off the bottom, and the river is nothing but a conveyor belt of food, oxygen, and anything yummy coming down the river. They will rarely dip down to feed. They want their food right in front of them. They want that food right in front of them, because food always comes to a trout. If you're missing it, that's not food. They have very little or no cognitive thought. They're not going to go that way. And what stoneflies are crawlers. They don't hatch like a normal hatch that you think of. They actually crawl out of the river to finish their metamorphosis and turn into an adult stonefly on trees, rocks, and brush. So there's not an active hatch of stoneflies going on, but they are crawling around. And what stoneflies can't do is they can't swim, period. All they do is tumble. And when you have your stonefly nymph moving down the river in that zone, just tumbling down the river, you're going to take a hit, and that's where your bigger fish are going to come in. Analyzing the river, understanding the aquatic etymology in that river, and then tuning your flies to match that is really what the direction you should be going in. Another way of analyzing the river too is that between the hours of say 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, there is a good, solid, pale morning dun mayfly hatch going on. And it's been going on all summer. Now that hatch may vary in its intensity, but it's every day. And it behooves you to understand that and be able to adjust your nymphs to that, meaning that if you're nymphing that river before or after the hatch, you should be nymphing it with a PMD nymph, or a really classic fly would be a split case PMD emerger. That's analyzing the river. That's using the information that the river provides you. And how do you know all this stuff? Well, a lot of rivers have hatch charts. You just get on and Google Madison River hatch chart, and you're going to see all kinds of hatch charts. What hatch charts do is they will list linear every month of the year, and then horizontally or vertically they will tell you every single aquatic insect that's in that river, and that's where you can zone in and find out what's moving and what's hatching and adjust your nymphing that way. So regardless of what style of nymph fisherman you are, Euro, Polish, French, it doesn't matter. Adjusting and analyzing the river that you're going to is going to pay in dividends over the long time. And in the short course, you're going to get those big fish that you've really been looking for. So I would appreciate it if you subscribe. I have a lot of videos like this coming down the pike. We have, if you go to our channel, there's a whole list of videos in there, and I try to do things on our channel that you haven't heard of before or may have heard of, and I can explain it a little better. Until next time, I'll see you on the river.